Of course, you watch our shows for our great opinions packed into quick thoughts and deep dives. You are excited for our ratings. Maybe you even like my openings. But let's be honest here. After this week, you only want to know one thing about our champions: saw or shuffle. This is the review of champions, and I'm your host, Grandmaster. With me is a powerful panel made up of the finest champions Sakar has to offer. Let me introduce them to you. First up, voice only, we have Loki's mom. How are you?
I'm doing well.
That's good to hear. And on camera, we have Merv. How are you?
I'm fantastic.
Yeah, like always. Must be great. Today, we're going to talk about episode 5 of the second season of the Marvel Disney Plus show, Daredevil Born Again. But before we do, I want to ask you all to help us out. Like, share, and subscribe. And join our forum at sakar.freeforms.net. Get to know us, talk to us, and yes, join our shows. Spoiler warning, we're going to talk about episode 5 and we're going to talk about everything. So if you haven't seen this episode yet, go check it out first and then join our video back again. Vanessa, she's fighting for her life, and Daredevil is fighting for Bullseye. Loki's mom, first let's get the administration out of the way. Saw or shovel?
Um, Saw.
Yeah. Okay, can I have your quick thoughts on episode 5 of Daredevil Born Again season 2?
Well, it was really a very good episode. It was intense, well paced. Um, Not a lot of action sequences in it, but it was the drama. I think the tension and everything. It certainly wasn't necessary that we have all the usual violence and whatnot. Uh, yeah, it was. I think a good change of pace. It reintroduced, and we got to see Foggy again, and it um, brought up all the connections, how the paths crossed, how Daredevil got involved with Fisk, and how we met. Who's the guy? We got to see the old Wesley, and then of course we
Buck.
saw how Buck he became in essence the new Wesley. So yeah, it was a really good episode. I just wish they had done it a little sooner in the series.
Yeah, understood. Murph, for you the same question: saw or shovel?
Uh, I'm gonna go shovel just because it was warm weather, or at least moderate weather.
Yeah,
And the saw is gonna get messy. You're gonna have
yeah,
to change all
yeah,
your clothes after the saw.
yeah,
So
yeah, yeah. Understood. Can I have your quick thoughts on the episode?
yeah, mixed, very mixed opinion here. It felt like we didn't go anywhere with a lot of characters, but then we went quite a few places with some of them, namely Daniel. Um, but this all kind of really felt like it ended where the last episode kind of ended as well. Like it just if they would have shown the ending if they would have shown Vanessa's death and Daredevil escaping with Bullseye at the end of the last episode, then it would have taken 5 minutes of time and would have probably been just as good. Um, so yeah, a little bit mixed reviews on this episode from
Okay.
me. I have some issues still with some of the
Mhm.
editing and things like that, and then the storyline is kind of like a little bit meandering a bit.
Yeah, well, I will get back to you on that later, as you know. Yeah, I agree. Actually, for those who frequent our board, saw my comment after episode 5. It was 2 words, and it was filler episode, and it really was for me. Yeah, it's nice they show Wesley, and they have Foggy, and they bring back them for a quick how things came to be episode, but yeah. as someone who was complaining a bit, like it's all the same old. Well, this was all the same old, and it didn't add anything to the storyline. So yeah, I'm a bit harsh on this episode. Actually, I'm not really a fan. But anyway, Murph, you also had some criticism, so let's have them.
Yeah. The big one that jumped out to me right away before the story even got going was I hate to beat this dead horse, and it's like the same umbrella of editing and sound and just like the structure of the actual show behind the scenes. Like all these little things just keep failing on me, and I don't know if anybody else had this issue, but like we're seeing scenes that take place the night of the previous episode, and then it's daytime the next day, but then we cut to other characters and it's nighttime, and then we cut back and it's like the afternoon during Vanessa's surgery, and then we cut to the other characters. It still seems like it's the same night of Daredevil and Bullseye, unless you're telling me that they've been running through the sewers of Hell's Kitchen for 2 days straight with a gut shot and everything like that. I find it hard to believe. Like there's these scenes that appear to happen the night of, and then there's other scenes that appear to happen like the next day, and they're just all out of order whenever the episode is shown to
Mhm.
me. Maybe I'm missing something. Whatever, they're using lighting in the windows and stuff like that tells me it's daytime.
Mhm.
So I'm only going by what the show's telling me, and then they were cutting to Daredevil and it's nighttime, and that just threw me off right away, like
In
almost immediately.
fact, it was daytime when Wilson Fisk was talking to the chief of the anti-vigilante task force and say hunting and bring him back alive, and that was during the daytime. And I think everything that happened after that, you see the same chief again going through the church. That was definitely at night, and you can't tell me that it took them a day to get through from that kitchen to the church. I mean, for the sewers, that doesn't make sense. So I totally agree with you, Murph. It makes no sense.
Yeah, it's just it's like small things that just make the storytelling confusing, and
Hmm.
then it takes me out of it. Like it's hard for me to pay attention when I'm like, well, wait, what? How many days have passed, or what's
Hmm.
going on? It's a simple thing that just kind of derails the whole thing.
Yeah, and if you're gonna be critical of things like Secret Invasion, where they have like a woman going to a bank to get a gun out of a deposit box, and then have the whole house full of guns, and she knows where they are. You also need to be critical of this kind of thing when it comes to Daredevil, and to me, yeah, you're saying it doesn't make sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Anything else?
Um, yeah, to just some other issues. It's not really an issue. I really liked a lot of the scenes with Foggy in the past as flashbacks or whatever. I enjoyed seeing that character, and I enjoy seeing his little story here. But I can't help but feel like they they're giving me the impression that they feel like they made a mistake. They're trying to bring this character back in, and they want to have their cake and eat it too. They want the ramifications of Foggy's death, but they don't want to get rid of the character. And it's just like there's this constant back and forth in my head of like they wanted the Netflix Daredevil, but they wanted to change it. Oh, we didn't want to change it too much because fans are unhappy, and they're just not sure what they're doing. And I almost wish they'd commit to one side or the other, because the playing both sides of the fence just winds up feeling mediocre to me. Um, but I will say I did enjoy seeing Foggy, but it's because I like the character and I like the actor, and the scenes made sense. Um, and There's just not a lot. We already mentioned it, but there's not a lot of meat on the bones for the main characters here. Like, essentially, the entirety of Kingpin's story in this episode could have been summarized if you had just killed Vanessa in the previous episode. If you just actually killed her and shown her dying, that would have been the entirety of all of his scenes in this episode, and you would still get the outrage later. And I'm sure he's going to flip out and go full criminal Kingpin again. And the same thing with Daredevil. Like, I don't know that a lot of ground was covered as far as a character goes in these scenes. He's struggling with his inner morality to save Bullseye. You've been dragging him around for what feels like 3 days, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, I gotta leave you. I'm sorry, I can't save you. That just felt totally out of character for Daredevil to me. and he's a character that always has these internal conflicts and stuff, but that one just felt like, what are you doing? Like, it felt like it was only there to serve that one scene.
Mhm.
But what I did love, just getting around to the things I did like, were
Yeah, yeah.
Daniel's storyline. I thought everything about Daniel in this episode was really well done. His ties with Buck in that whole scene where he's thinking he's driving to his own death and he's like about to leave, and that probably would have been the biggest mistake because turns out there's something in the trunk, and like there's a lot there that I enjoyed. So, but it wasn't until then that I really started to enjoy the episode for what it had to offer, and it was quite a long one of not a whole lot of things happening. So yeah, pretty mixed, in my opinion.
Yeah, I also want to point out that Daniel and Bibi also had a powerful scene in the beginning
Mhm.
where he was like, "Okay, you're really using me, and we're really going to do this, and this is going to give me a lot of problems." So, and then he decides his love for Bibi is bigger than his fear for the mayor. But yeah, that was a good scene as well. But Loki's mom, you're a big fan of Michael Gandolfini in the show, so you must be agreeing with Murph about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I think his we got to see a lot of him, his acting, and his performance in this particular episode. You mentioned the scene where they're in the first scene with him and BB in the hospital, and he's starting to back off from feeding her information, and we got to end this, and then she says, "Oh," and then she grabs him and hugs him, and like, oh God, she's mercenary at that point, so that's kind of a point against her. But then she sort of backs off, and you can see the look on her face that she, God, that she hated doing that, but she's got to keep him on the leash, as it were. But yeah, that whole sequence with him, Buck taking him out, and then Albany, and you realize he
Yeah.
realizes right then he's not going for hot dogs, and that was well played, and it just really fit in with his character and his sort of his dad's legacy. I think I kept thinking about The Sopranos, and as that was playing out. Yeah, to talk about the editing issues, I'll agree with that. I think it was just poor, not done well. The whole sequence, of course, with uh, Bullseye and Daredevil is the night of. I mean, it's just right after, so that whole sequence takes place then. But then it keeps splitting it up with the next day, where we can clearly see that it's sunshine outside and everything. And so, yeah, that was kind of a misstep. But even so, I think the heart of the episode was it's going back to the first episode where Matt throws Bullseye off the roof, and he regrets that, and that started him on he's trying to get rid of Daredevil because of that. And of course, it was Foggy who wanted him to quit. So that he was trying to get back to that, and it was maybe a little ham-handed, but he does plainly say it that no, he's trying to save him because it's his atonement. He needs to save Bullseye. If you want to call it save his soul or whatever, you can call it that. But he's here again. It's the Marvel theme of giving people second chances, of giving people trying to understand where they come from, what motivated them to become what they were. Um, the sequences, I thought, the flashbacks with Foggy, I thought were well done because it's really, we find out that it's really Foggy who's the one who set Matt on his moral course of being of finding justice. If he can't find it in the courtrooms, he's going to find it out on the streets. And it was the bully, the fact that the guy who had bullied Foggy as a child and called him names and whatnot, yet Foggy turns around and saves his life from Kingpin because he's in trouble with that. And that's when we find out that Buck was hired as just an assassin, and that's how he worked his way up into the position. But there were a lot of good things, I think, in the episode. It certainly spoke to me. I think I understood where it was going. This, however, should have been more upfront. With this whole few episodes prior to that, it was just like this, the Red Hook and the ship and all that. It was just cumbersome narrative that I think it could have been shortened up a great deal. If this had been like episode number 3 or 4, I think that would make a difference. But now we're getting toward the end of the series, so it's going to be interesting where it goes after that. But in a lot of ways, I'll agree with Merv and you, Remco, that a lot of it was filler and whatnot. But I can't give it too many bad marks because I liked a lot of it that what was in there.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough, fair enough. Did that cameo or short scenes with Wesley do anything for you from the
Yeah.
old show, or
Oh,
were you just like, eh,
oh no, I love that. I loved Wesley, so he's one of my
okay,
favorite characters. One of my favorite
okay.
nasty men. But yeah. Oh, and another ding. No, still no Jessica Jones.
Yeah, I agree. No, but I'm actually, in the beginning, I was like jokingly saying it's a marketing tool, and they just gonna give her the Daredevil treatment from She-Hulk show. But they're actually doing that, and yeah, I'm almost at the point that my joking statement of like woke nonsense that they don't use Jessica Jones or use her as a marketing tool is actually
Hmm.
becoming like real, like reality. I watch the show with my wife, and she's also upset. Still no JJ. So
Yeah.
yeah,
She's
yeah,
gonna walk on at the end and roll her eyes, and that'll be about it.
yeah. Murph, did cameo or short scenes with Wesley do anything for you?
Not really. I mean, I like the Wesley character, but I also like the Buck character. So it didn't ring the same as like seeing Foggy again. That
Mm-hmm.
gave me a little more. I don't even want to say nostalgia because it hasn't been that long, but like a little more like, oh yeah, this is why I like this character a lot because I don't feel like that void has been filled by any of the new characters.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas I feel like Buck is an adequate replacement for me for Wesley.
Mm-hmm.
A little more rough around the edges, a little more like that. But yeah. So that didn't really give me much. Neither did like the art scenes with Vanessa. I know this episode was largely about like her death essentially, so they were trying to make you feel the feels, but it's like I can't. At this point, they're horrible, murderous people, and it's like I don't really, like I like
Mm-hmm.
that he had a love for this woman and she loved him, but it's like I don't, I'm not going to empathize with them at this
No.
point in the series. They're not relatable to me.
But
No.
but but you have to think about the episode also marks if she had never sold that or met Wilson Fisk, sold him that painting, she would probably still be an honest art dealer, Not she would never turn into the monster that she became.
Right,
So it
and
was
she'd
just
Yeah.
probably
that
still be
one
alive.
meeting that changed her life.
Yeah.
And that's what she keeps remembering in the white painting and all that. And
Mm-hmm.
which we saw in the first season that was in the basement and got splattered with blood, and we see that motif all throughout. That same pattern, that blood splat, particularly in the last episode. Um,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I think that's I've been watching that white painting, and I think it's very important to the writers, if to nobody else.
Nobody cares about the art anymore.
I do.
Pretentious. Pretentious. But anyway, yeah. So, Daredevil episode 5. I'm curious what the ratings will be because normally we're all aligned, and now maybe there will be some difference. So, let's move on to our rating. And I'm gonna start with you, Loki's mom.
I will give this. I'm going to give it a 7.5 because I think, like, despite the problems, there were enough gems in it that kept me happy.
Mm-hmm. Murph.
Yeah, I'm gonna go 5 out of 10. I'm gonna be a little extra harsh on it just because there were very few things that saved the episode for me from being like for totally forgettable television. So I'm gonna go straight down the middle, 5.
Okay. I'm gonna go 6 out of 10. I'm also kind of harsh on it, but there was still enough in it that made me like, okay, this is good. This is good. So yeah, the problems are over abundantly clear, but 6 out of 10. It's not like it goes into the bad territory yet. It's still adequate, but it was a close shave. I will tell you that. That will conclude our review for Daredevil Born Again Season 2, Episode 5. We hope you have enjoyed our discussion today. If you did, help us out. Like, share, and subscribe. And join our forum at sokar.freeforms.net. We would love it if you do that. Next week, we will be back, of course, to discuss the Episode 6. And we have a brand new episode for our Infinity Saga series coming out right now. And you can check out our review series for Maul Shadowlord as well. For now, I want to thank you all also on behalf of my fellow champions and wish you to be safe and be well. Bye.